Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're bringing the absolute energy of a top-tier sports broadcast to break down a massive World Cup semifinals clash. We're talking England versus Argentina. I mean, this is a true heavyweight bout, an absolute classic in the making. We've got the reigning world champions, Argentina, taking on a ridiculously talented, deeply ambitious England squad. So we're going to cut right through the noise today and give you a purely tactical, source-driven look at exactly how these two juggernauts match up.
Okay, so here's our agenda for today. We are going to set the stage, look at some serious off-pitch drama, break down where both teams excel, expose their tactical weaknesses, and then finish up with the ultimate showdown, Kane versus Messi.
Section 1. Setting the semifinal stage, the paths to Miami.
So getting right into it, both teams have survived absolutely grueling tests to reach this point, but honestly, neither has looked completely invincible. While England definitely labored past Norway with a 2-1 victory in extra time, Argentina has actually shown some real surprising vulnerability throughout this tournament. I mean, analysts have been pointing out their incredibly bumpy road. They put in a really poor performance against Cabo Verde, conceding some totally shocking defensive errors. Then, they found themselves 2-0 down against Egypt, needing a highly debated, super controversial comeback just to survive. And against Switzerland? Well, a lot of pundits argued that if it had just remained 11 versus 11 without a game-changing red card, Argentina might have literally lost in normal time. So both squads are definitely arriving at this semifinal a little bit bruised.
All right, Section 2, off-pitch drama and pressure, trouble in the camp.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the intense narrative tension currently brewing right inside the English camp. Just imagine winning a World Cup quarterfinal, right? Only for your manager, Thomas Tuchel, to go on national television and absolutely tear into the performance. He did not hold back. He completely went to town on his team, calling their play chaotic and sloppy, citing a ton of technical and tactical errors. He bluntly stated that they were just lucky and demanded significantly more quality for this upcoming semifinal. I mean, talk about a blistering public critique of a winning team.
But then, we get this massive whiplash. The reaction from the dressing room was completely different. Star player Jude Bellingham, who had literally just put in a brilliant game-saving individual performance, immediately fired back in his own interview. He heavily praised the players' effort, talking about the tough shift they all put in. Analysts are actually suggesting this brutal honesty from Bellingham could be a massive positive. It creates this potential us against the manager or us against the world galvanizing moment. You know, some locker rooms really bond over a shared frustration with the manager, using it as absolute ammunition to push themselves even harder.
And of course, then there's the history. The fans definitely feel the heavy historical trauma of the 1986 Hand of God and that infamous 1998 Diego Simeone red card incident. But the actual players on the pitch, they feel very differently. Young English stars like Bellingham, who were born after the year 2000, are entering this match with a completely clean psychological slate. They weren't even alive for those traumatic footballing moments. So for the players, the history is just background noise. This is purely about the 90 minutes ahead of them.
Moving on to Section 3, where both teams excel, the tactical strengths.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how these two powerhouses match up tactically when they are operating at their absolute best. And let's start with England. They excel with just breathtaking athleticism and transitional speed. Their primary threat comes from utilizing the sheer blinding pace of players like Bukayo Saka and Anthony Gordon straight down the wide channels to just completely overwhelm opponents. I mean, they are like lightning out there. And right behind them, you have the immense driving power of Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice, bursting forward from the midfield. But you know what the true linchpin to all this forward momentum is? It's Harry Kane. He isn't just playing as a traditional striker here. He operates almost like a quarterback. He intentionally drops deep, which purposefully drags the opposing center backs right out with him. And what does that do? It creates the exact pockets of empty space that Saka and Gordon need to exploit at lightning speed. It's an incredibly explosive, high-tempo formula that is a total nightmare to defend.
Conversely, Argentina brings unparalleled, almost terrifying tournament know-how. I mean, they are the defending champions for a very good reason. They rely on incredibly gritty, resilient defending. But honestly, more than that, Argentina's true strength lies in their absolute mastery of the dark arts of football. They know exactly when to leave a lingering tackle. They know exactly when to crowd the referee. They know exactly how to entirely shatter an opponent's rhythm. They play the emotional side of the game perfectly to disrupt momentum. It's calculated, it's frustrating, and it works. And then, just when you get totally frustrated and lose your focus for a millisecond, Lionel Messi steps up and punishes you with pure brilliance.
So this brilliantly illustrates the tactical chess match we are about to see.
It is literally a war between England's intense desire for a free-flowing, high-tempo track meet and Argentina's absolute need for a slower, controlled, highly emotional battle. If the game opens up and becomes transition-heavy, England's athleticism makes them the heavy favorites, no question. But if Argentina can drag the game down into the mud, slow it all down to a crawl, and make it a grinding psychological war of attrition, well, that plays right into their championship DNA. So, will it be a free-flowing track meet or a grinding war in the mud? Keep a close eye on the first 15 minutes because whichever team dictates the tempo early on usually ends up winning this whole chess match.
Section 4. Exposing the tactical weaknesses, the vulnerabilities.
Now, neither of these squads is perfect, far from it, and this semifinal will highly likely be decided by who exploits the other's glaring weaknesses first. For England, the opponent isn't just the 11 guys in blue and white, it's literally the ghost of 1966. The mental suffocation is incredibly real. They carry the overwhelmingly heavy weight of national expectation, and honestly, against Norway, they looked exactly like a team feeling the immense pressure of those historical expectations. But for Argentina, their vulnerability is strictly physiological. They are battling severe fatigue right now and rely on a heavily aging core of players. In their previous games, observers clearly noted that the entire team, yes, even Messi, looked noticeably older and slower as the minutes ticked by.
300. Just think about that number. That is the staggering number of minutes Argentina's aging core starters have had to play in just over a week. 300 minutes. Going to extra time and playing this deep into high-stakes tournaments takes an absolutely massive physical toll on the human body. This raises massive, undeniable questions about whether Argentina actually has the fresh legs required to keep up with England's devastating, relentless speed over a full 90, or potentially even 120 minutes. Will the manager finally trust his younger bench players to bring some fresh energy, or is he going to stick stubbornly with his exhausted, aging veterans? It's a massive gamble either way.
Furthermore, on a purely tactical level, analysts point out that Argentina plays exceptionally narrow. They deliberately compact the middle of the pitch. But naturally, this leaves vast, gaping open spaces down the sidelines. So when you're watching the match, really keep your eyes fixed on the touchlines. Because Argentina compacts the middle so tightly, if England manages to switch the ball quickly from side to side, their wingers will literally be running into acres of empty grass. If Thomas Tuchel sets up his wingers to exploit those wide areas, and if England can finally get their final third service and crossing right, Argentina is going to struggle mightily to defend the full width of the pitch. It's a huge vulnerability waiting to be exposed.
Which brings us to Section 5, Showdown. Kane versus Messi, the Talisman clash.
Let's move to our climax and see how all of this builds to the ultimate clash of titans on the pitch. Now, it sounds completely impossible given his endlessly legendary career, but as Messi himself noted recently, this will actually be the very first time Lionel Messi has ever faced England in a World Cup. I mean, wow. It adds incredible historic weight to an already massive fixture. He openly acknowledges England as a complete powerhouse, relying purely on video study rather than actual on-pitch experience against them.
And this right here is the defining dichotomy of the match, the matchup that will absolutely define the game. On one side, you have Harry Kane, the structural architect. He is methodical, he's reliable, he's the ultimate facilitator who builds England's attacks layer by careful layer. His role isn't just to score goals, it's to intentionally drop deep into the midfield, drawing defenders totally out of position and unleashing those precise, calculated passes to England's flying wingers. He's the anchor. Lionel Messi, on the other hand, he is an absolute illusionist. He can seem entirely invisible for 89 minutes, literally just walking around the pitch, only to completely dismantle an entire defensive structure with one tiny drop of the shoulder and a split-second impossible pass. It is pure structure versus pure magic.
Section 6, the final verdict, who advances?
So, as we wrap up this explainer, we are basically looking at a true 50-50 nail-biter. Pundits are deeply, deeply divided. On paper, England's explosive youth, sheer pace, and squad depth make them the clear favorites to exploit Argentina's tired legs and narrow shape. But you can never, absolutely never count out the dark arts resilience and big-game pedigree of Argentina, especially when they have Messi on the pitch. So I leave you with this final thought to ponder as kickoff approaches. It all comes down to this monumental clash of styles and generations. Does English pace and youth finally conquer decades of agonizing history, or will Messi's magic strike one more time to push the aging champions to the brink of another title? Watch closely how the midfield tempo is dictated early on. That will absolutely be your answer. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and enjoy what promises to be a truly unforgettable semifinal match.